Welcome back to some professional StarCraft 2 from the ESL Open Cup Europe Grand Finals. Number 81, I think, at this point. Two players I think no one is surprised to see. Two players that everyone's excited to see. And two players who both individually play faster than if I had four hands combined. Let me first introduce the best Beyond cosplayer outside of Beyond. In fact, at this point, maybe want to flip the script. But of course, the Frenchman. It's Team Liquid's Clem. And in the top left, the current reigning IEM Katowice champion, the man who was not old enough to qualify for WCS until the end of a year just a few years back, and still almost did by winning one of the regional events. And it's only gotten better since then. The man, a nemesis, a foil for the kid on the other side, his words. 600 APM is just another day at the office. Of course, Italy's Reynor. We drew it out. If you enjoy nice, long intros and virtual walks on the beach, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe. As I noticed, both these players starting off aggressively standard. We've got a hatch first, a 1-Rax expand, a Reaper going across the map. And now, if I was a betting man, and if I was a betting man, I probably wouldn't be playing this game, but if I was a betting man, I would think 3cc into Hellions with maybe a Medevac, maybe a Viking, maybe both. And then into a Marine tank push that either wins the game if Reynor's a little too greedy, or throws us into a solid mid-game. That Marine tank push coming out at 8 or so minutes, maybe 8.5. Really, Clem? Come on. This first Reaper is ridiculous. We all know Clem's Reapers are the only ones who actually matter. Everyone else just pretending like they're actually going to kill anything of value without losing the Reaper. But Clem's the only one who sometimes does. Why do I say all these things as a betting man? Because Lightshade has been kind of figured out in Terran vs. Zerg. If there are no shenanigans afoot early on, a tank push from this high ground ledge, in between what is usually a third and a fourth. How do you keep getting kills? Bouncing the queen away. So far, Clem sticking to the script. Let's see if Reynor switches anything up. He's adding more queens. A very bold choice. Reynor, one of the biggest proponents of the hashtag Gas Queens movement. Queens well known for not moving very far unless they have creep, but the more queens you have, the more creep, so either way you win. Clem coming in. Is Clem actually okay? Come on. Ooh, a Banshee. I'm not a fan of just dying to a few dozen Zerglings or maybe a few roaches at the wrong time. Good to see. The Banshee has been re-added into the 3cc because Rogue essentially taught Maru, yeah, did you know you can't just make 3 command centers and no units and get away with it every single game? To which Maru said, yes, I can, and Rogue said, well, I guess it's my trophy then. So since then, the Banshee has been added back in. It was Rogue's trophy, just in case it wasn't heavily implied. Spoilers. Because Maru just refused to make any units. But that was a different day. Clem is kind of ridiculous with the Reaper Hellion. No one does it better. He's always right where he needs to be without overcommitting. There's not that many units to stop the... In fact, there's not that many Zerglings. Only 8 Zerglings on the field right now. But I doubt that Clem's gonna dive by. Just the existence of these Hellions, along with the Reaper he still has, is far more valuable than gambling and trying to get 1 or 2 and don't come back. Well, I think that Banshee may come back, but under the guise of a cloaking device. I guess it's called a cloaking field, which I never really thought about that. Cloak. It's cloak, okay? Like Harry Potter, sort of like, you know, it's a cloak, except they can shoot through it, which is very convenient. You know, Harry Potter would have been a lot easier if everybody just had guns. Maybe I'm too American for this. Anyways, moving on. Speaking of, Stim is on the way. Looks like we have a reactor, so not a tank push, but adding in Widow Mines. Clem embracing a new age. Cure has had a lasting effect. It's not like people weren't going Widow Mines before Cure, but I think as long as Cure continues doing it with such unabashed and shameless, this is other Terrans talking, shameless abundance, then no one can feel really bad about being that guy. So, couple Banshees here, but the Knitting Crew able to drive back with an Overseer in tow. The Hellions now running by. The Zerglings looking for an opportunity. Clem dives back. He's actually gonna... Reynor's gonna try to surround the Hellions. They're off a creep, though, which... getting a little fancy with them. A little optimistic. Is that a second factory? By the way, a very quick lair out of Reynor. It got him Baneling speed. So that was actually Reynor setting himself up to deal with that early tank push. You know, like 7.5 minutes I was talking about? Well, it's not going to be a tank push, but there is a Marine medevac timing. And the most valuable thing you can have against it is good creep spread with Baneling speed. Not upgrades. Upgrades are a marginal increase in effectiveness. Without Baneling speed not just for the speed, but also plus 5 HP, which gives you more survivability than an armor upgrade, obviously, as well as being able to close the distance. So Reynor playing it safe. The Widow Mines will burrow. Clem, where are your medevac? You forgot kind of one of the important M's of the great M trifecta. And then, of course, the fourth M that people don't like to talk about is Marauders. Looks like Mahelians down for the count. Cleansed. Lings and Banes, a beautiful counterattack, but a Widow Mine undercuts the rest. A handful more Banes rolling through. Only 7 SCVs down. The Knitting Crew will hold the line for now. There's not that many Lings and Banes on the other side of the map, but Clem caught unawares. It could have been worse. A dozen SCVs is not a massive price to pay, but if Reynor is not punished in some sort of way, well then, the next attack is going to be hard to keep at bay. Medevac's loading up another round. 1-1 is done. Armory obviously there as drilling claws and 2 factories pumping out 3 mines at a time. Reynor gonna have to keep on his toes and keep Overseers almost everywhere. He doesn't have Overlord speed either, which might become an issue as time goes on. The medevac's into the main. Few more SCVs. Reynor big counterattack. The orbital itself begins to burn. Will it burn? I doubt it. But we'll see as time goes on. Clem trying to lay on pressure on the other side, but Reynor should have more than enough reinforcements to deal with this. The Widow Mine's finding good connections. The Banshee's cutting off some of the Zerglings, but 18 SCVs. 18 SCVs for 0 drones in trade. The Widow Mines must be dealt with, but so far this damage has gone almost entirely unmitigated. Okay, the orbital is being repaired. The refinery really hoping it's next on the agenda. 2-2 is on the way for both sides. Reynor only a handful of seconds behind. A Widow Mine drop. Drilling Claw's still 10 seconds out, so Clem waves off for this one. Finally, the... Get back! Oh, stupid Banshees! More Banelings. More dead SCVs. It looks like this round... not as devastating, but... Clem working 3 different angles right now, but Reynor is starting to grab the map right back up. But the Drilling Claws, the Widow Mine, oh my god! That's a lot of damage. Somehow there's still a Banshee in the main. Widow Mine's finding a lot of Zergling and Baneling kills. So far, 100 have gone down to just 17 Marines in comparison. Queen's being gunned down on the creep with no reinforcements from the Lings and Banes. Reynor coming in again, a preemptive lift. The creep spread through the center lane of the map, trouble right now. The Widowmine, massive hit, holding the line. The splits are amazing, Clem. I can't believe it's not butter. The spread is so good right now. The Widowmine's helping out Clem holding. A handful more Zerglings in the natural will force continued micro and continued defense, which means 15 SCVs are still deadly damage. Reynor keeps hitting back. Clem is holding, but not quite enough. Now that the Widowmine chimes in for another few SCVs of kills. The Widowmines are doing a great job. In fact, there's not actually detection out here. He's dropping out sacrificial Marines onto the banelings. The mines still feeling involved in the conversation for some reason. Have you not left yet? No, you gotta clean him up. Clem has one more shot. He's got one more opportunity. Will he capture it? Or will his Widowmine slip? Because right now, Reynor has held strongly enough. It's been painful. It's been difficult. But his economy is still almost untouched, despite how many Zerglings have died. It's not how many die, it's how many you have to replace them. And right now, Clem's economy, despite 4 command centers, he's down 30 workers. The income tells the story as well. Lurker Den is on the way. Hive Tech has completed. Overlord Speed coming up. Clem. Wow. Reynor really didn't expect Clem to just stand there. Another mine drop. The Queen's coming back to deal with it, but not before the mine's already fired off onto the drones. Adrenal Glands is on the way. Clem still somehow holding together. He actually has more army supply right now. The Lings and Bane's not known for being a huge amount of supply on their own. We need a whole lot of them. Some reinforcements. No 3-3 started for Reynor. But now, Zergling's finding us around. The Marines trying to group up. Clem reinforcing from just a few meters away. Widowmine finds a connection. And Clem will hold. Somehow, despite everything that's... Oh, another mine drop. They're scampering around. Are you... No, you can't just walk away. Comes in, saving Private Widowmine. +3 attack and +3 carapace. Those infantry weapons coming up. Another counterattack. The Zergling streaming through. The SCVs not getting the hazard pay they deserve. A few more into the 4th in this one. That should be the devastating blow that Reynor needed. That one was untouched. He just rolled in as Clem was looking the other way. And despite all the damage that the mines have dealt, Reynor should still have enough at home to defend. Clem's economy is shattered. The Queen's gonna stall out the Marine push. There aren't that many medevacs, and for some reason the medevacs aren't really here right now. Clem, without ever losing a battle, will lose the war. Reynor lost way more units and resources. But this was not a war of attrition. I guess it was. I meant more like a half-map scenario, as Reynor just eviscerating the mineral line. No matter how many banelings it takes, he's willing to send them in. And that kind of sets the tone. It felt like the mines were doing great work, but possibly had too much on their shoulders. Reynor's counterattacks just unmitigated. Clem committing way too much to the front, and the back line ceases to exist. Reynor doing what he's known for in that match. Those Zergling counterattacks always seeming to have too much, too fast, in too many places. Clem just couldn't keep up. And that's something I don't think there are more than maybe 4 to arguably 5 or 6 players in the world that could ever be true for. This is probably the most. likely one. Honestly, when I watch Sail versus Clem and Reynor versus Clem, Sail versus Clem kind of feels like a chess match where they're both moving, trading pieces, whereas Reynor versus Clem is a chess match where they're both shivving each other under the table. So it's a little bit of a different feel to them. In fact, haven't seen Cyril doesn't play in these open cups for. Are you too good for them, Cyril? Why don't we see you in the open cups more often? That is actually a good. Well, he usually is qualified for the major event, so he doesn't need to play in the open cups for the ESL points. No proxies, no shenanigans, no pool first. I feel like while doing early cheeses has its place, especially with these open cups, we're gonna start having this discussion again because it always feels like there's a DreamHack event going on top of the ESL Open Cups every week. But whenever there's a major tournament that's over the course of several weeks, for example, DreamHack, it feels like the Open Cups become ladder games to some extent for players. Like, they essentially are playing them like 5 ladder games, especially players of this caliber. Because if you have any sort of new style, Clem's style is just killing drones with Reapers because for some reason he's the only one who's able to do that. If you have a new style or a new strategy, you don't really... While there's a few $100 on the line, it's not the same as those major international tournaments. So I think we can expect to see some just exciting and generic matches for the next several weeks. And we'll make sure to chime in on whether Has versus Nice caused another set of mental breakdowns, because I assume that happened. On whether Neeb finally looks like he will reclaim his glory, or whether Cyril or Reynor will be the I'm looking for the word. What is the word? Honorary American in these tournaments. Like we had Polt for many years. Somewhat to Polt's dismay, but... Estrella. I assume Reynor versus Clem will be the finals of something outside of the Open Cups as well. As it has a tendency to be. Do we have 3 CCs and a Banshee, Clem? Wow. Reynor, are you making queens with Zergling speed and only 1 in gas? Oh, 3 in gas again? Are you going to make a lair after getting 6 queens? What a crazy build. I haven't seen this since last game. Absolute madness from these players. How do they even remember all these numbers?
The numbers don't lie, and they spell disaster for you.
So, we are going to play, so far, the same game. Couple Banshees from Clem. I like that. So, Terrans can complain about Protoss all they want. But Terran players over here going for 3cc Hellion Banshee for literally 2/3 of Clem's lifetime. Okay, Clem is 18. Is Clem 19? I think Clem's 19. Okay, StarCraft 2 is 11 years old. One of the very first builds in StarCraft 2 was Hellion Banshee. It still is. So here we are. Protoss players had to relearn the game half a dozen times. Mothership core, no mothership core, pylon overcharge, shield battery overcharge, brain overcharge, everything blinking, not blinking, teleporting, whatever. Terran players are like, but this time I might make 2 Marines before my reactor. Wow. Speaking of reactors, not 1, not 2, but 3 different So, fun fact, in the production tab, if they're all on the same building, they show up as 2. But if they're on different buildings, the add-ons show up independently, even though they're all reactors and are essentially interchangeable, because that's how Terran works. So building a reactor on a barracks, a factory, and a starport. We'll see if we have any add-on roulette happening here. There should be enough for a double medevac drop right around that 7-minute mark. Clem keeping the pressure on. Reynor not really... It feels very similar to last game. But he didn't start Baneling speed. So no Baneling speed is an interesting play here. Clem doesn't have any units at his third, so that's at least consistent so far. The Hellions were not in position to see this coming out. The SCVs are kind of funny. He's trying to get the Widowmines involved in killing SCVs. Somehow drones died while all this was happening, but I think the Banshees, yeah, the Banshees came back. 7 SCVs go down. But no Baneling speed. I don't know if that's a mistake or intentional. But Reynor did have a lair, so I have to imagine he thought he started Baneling speed. I cannot stress against someone like Clem with anti-Baneling aimbot. Not having Baneling speed means that Banelings are essentially obsolete. You're just making them more expensive pinatas. Oh my god, Reynor's doing the creep drop queen thing. Wow, Karen, we haven't done this since 2012. Oh, we died to Hellions a lot in 2012, though. That's very similar. Just like the good old days. 15 Banes on the way, but no speed. Clem's going to be able to close the distance. A hatchery at the fourth. Well, a fourth hatchery at the third, rather. Widowmine going to burrow. Oh, my God. He does get it. I think that was a manual detonation. I'm not 100%. The Overseers were coming in. Not enough Marines, but take a look at the worker counts for this game. Last game, Reynor was able to get up to 80 while constantly keeping Clem under 60. Not this time. The supply, the upgrades. This time, while the production tabs are similar, while the unit compositions are nearly identical, this time Clem has a lot more momentum. The creep spread is barely there. The economies are essentially even, if not in Clem's favor. Huge counterattack coming in. Widowmines undercut it. Banshee's gonna help a bit, but most of these SCVs are forfeit. Though, at the same time, on the other side. Reynor finishing a few more Banes. I'm really surprised Clem's standing his ground, but wow, the Banelings just... they do enough. They do enough. The hatchery goes down. 22 SCVs. Clem really not being particularly diligent. How is the Reaper still alive? I don't know if that's a new Reaper. Has he lost one? No, somehow the Reaper lives through all this. And drives back the Zerglings. Hellbats escape from the attack. Banshees are all... Widowmines are just scattered throughout the map. So this is a much bloodier game than last time, because Clem did take out one macro hatch. He forced a ton of Zerglings and Banelings. Reynor's left with a nice amount of drones, but not an overwhelming economy. It is still tenuous. He's 1 or 2 Widowmine drops away from being even or behind. Drilling Claws done. Widowmines chunking through the Zerglings. Banshee's still intact and dragging the Queens around. The creep spread, especially on the left flank. Not overwhelming. About halfway there, but about to be a little bit less over on the right as Clem works his way towards it. Clem not being very diligent about walling off his bases. I will say, like, that, it feels like there's room for improvement. A lot of the times you'll see Terrans just wall off the entire thing. And while Banelings are good, of course, at breaking that down, it does feel like he could be doing more to prevent these counterattacks from getting the damage done. Speaking of counterattacks, 7 drones down. Only a handful of SCVs. Marines standing their ground. The reinforcements are enough. Another Widowmine. Where aren't they? That one has 17 kills. 7 kills. There's just assume there's 2 or 3 Widowmines in every fight and everywhere else. The Widowmines, oh my god! 5 kills, 12 kills. The Marines escape while the mines provide cover for the tactical withdrawal. 5 more. Is this a new drop? I don't even know. Are these the same mines? I don't think so. It's hard to tell. Meanwhile, Clem up 20 supply. Another counterattack. And now, unfortunately, though, this is a very sad fact. Okay, prepare yourselves emotionally. Every time a Baneling attacks, it dies. I mean, that's what they were built for, but they don't get to recharge in 40 seconds. This time around, Reynor battling on both fronts, and this time around, Reynor losing on both. The worker count is okay, but that means with this supply differential, Clem's army is just way more. A whole lot of medevacs. He's lost so many Marines that he just dragging Zerglings through the minefield. Another, oh my god, they're everywhere. Reinforcements trying to protect the mines. They're not going to get another shot off. Another mine drop coming into the third. Clem doesn't even care. He burrows the mines anyways. Because that's something you can do. More drones gonna fall. This means Reynor not able to focus on the right, where there's a fleet of medevacs and still a Banshee intact. The Marines just gunning down a Queen. There's only a couple of Banelings in there, but he retreats past the minefield. A counterattack from Reynor is but a pale shadow of what they once were. Meanwhile, Clem is getting +3/+2. Brenda alone, re-spreading the creep. Desperately trying to keep the Marines at bay. But only a handful of creep tumors are the difference between the hatcheries and some disgusting Marine splits. Another mine. Another hit. Marines stemming through. Another, oh my god, the one spot without it. The counterattack. Oh. More Widow Mines keeping the Zerglings. At this point, Clem's moving around like he thinks he's confident. You don't move back with your whole army here unless you're panicking or you're confident you don't need to do critical damage right now. And Clem, not really one for panicking. That was a calculated move to make sure at least he minimized the counterattack. Now, another counterattack. Reynor still seems to find these lings. But another minefield. The medevacs will pick up. At this point, the army composition is 14 Widow Mines, and then there are also other units. Few more SCVs go down, but the army supply difference, 50. The upgrades in favor of Clem. Reynor has managed to scratch out a hive during this. Another mine drop. He just drops on top of the Banes. Reynor taking it very seriously, but the Marines have cleared the creep all the way back to the hatch. The splits, the stims, the medevac's a little out of position, but not so much so. Oh no. Is he gonna... This is awkward. Alright. Couldn't quite find the time to lock on. Another mine drop. Another shot. Another shot. Another shot. More drones. Clem's been leaning harder and harder onto the Widow Mines, and, well, they can take the weight. Reynor playing Minesweeper right now and losing because no child under the age of 25 has ever played a real game of Minesweeper. Damn kids. Oh my god. Another one. A couple lurkers actually forced the pickup and the retreat. Another one. Another one. Another one. I'm done commentating, alright? Another one. The lurkers gonna drive back. Reynor's doing a pretty good... Another one. Oh, that one. Another one. The lurkers are a good counter, especially with their range. The mines can't get close enough. But Reynor has not had the time nor the economy to build up a critical mass. Another one. Somehow, Reynor has held on to his bases. He's scratched out lurkers. He's halfway through lurker range. But another set of Marines coming in. Drones targeted. Enough medevacs to easily evacuate. The lurkers are the real threat here. Splits, stims. Mine's looking to close the distance. One tank now. Just that one tank gonna make the difference and force Reynor to retreat. He doesn't have adaptive talents and he doesn't have range, which means the bio army can still kind of close the distance here. Without the range upgrade, he can't really keep the Marines and Marauders far enough at bay. Oh, Clem! An uncharacteristic mistake, losing all the Marines on the left flank. Reynor holding. He's clinging to that table. Clem, on the other hand, oh yeah, remember Clem has other bases. He has not a 4th, but a 5th and a 6th command center and a 7th command center on the way. A Ghost Academy is done. He's got 69 SCVs, which is nice enough for what he needs to do. Liberators on the field. Medevacs for all policy. 16 Widow Mines. The Lurkers are good, but I don't think they're good enough. Another one. Not a great counter to... In fact, there's almost nothing to deal with the Liberators. A handful of Queens. 12 drones go down. Another one. The Lurkers are tucked away. Is he really going to go? A split. He's going to get 3, 4, 5. Enough. .600 Zerglings die. Clem almost doubly efficient. Losing 18k 2.4 to 30 and then 5. Wow. It appears he tightened up the gaps in the last match. And this time Reynor didn't find enough opportunities to slip through. That's... Those Widow Mines. Maybe should have played more Minesweeper. We're on 2,000 atmospheres for Game 3. Yeah, a tough one. Clem supplementing. It feels like supplementing with Marines. As much as the flashy Marine micro will get you the Twitch clips and the love of everyone in 2011. Zergs are just... Like, you're not going to win with just Marines. You'll look good, you'll get close. But especially against someone like Reynor. Just Marines are not enough. With upgraded lurkers, constant Ling Bang counterattacks, the inevitable creep spread, you need those kickers. The ability to take out chunks of Zerglings without committing chunks of supply. And Clem, well, writing the book on that one. So far, looking similar. We'll see. The details... Well, really, it was Clem making any effort to defend his 3rd, I think. Like, in Game 1, Clem almost just abandoned his 3rd to constant Ling counterattacks. In Game 2, he only partially neglected it. So, like, he paid attention to his 3rd on weekends. A lot of SCVs died, but not all of them every time. So that was the difference here. I do think the lack of baneling speed for that first medevac push was a mistake. It feels like getting lair just to go upgrades is kind of going backwards after going forwards. The upgrades you fill in after the baneling speed, but even an extra minute without that upgrade means you lose a lot of momentum. You lose a lot of creep spread. You don't really have the ability to bully the Terran when there are medevacs on the field without baneling speed. So even just a handful of seconds late on it can make all the difference. Like, why does he get to do this? Why does he get to just come in here like he owns the place? He's running around the hatchery and the Zerglings are running away. I don't understand. Whenever I try to do it, I lose the Reaper to draw. Oh my god! Oh my god! So, like that... It's disgusting. How does he keep doing it? He can't keep getting away with this. I think at this point, you just wait until, like, you have 2 queens. You just don't wait. Just wait 4 seconds on the creep tumor. Okay? 4 seconds. Stop. No, my god. He wants it so bad. Reynor made 6 lings and has 2 queens, and Clem's like, I don't know, maybe. I don't... Oh my... Okay, alright. I don't... Just wait 5 seconds on the creep tumor. Come on. You don't need the creep that... If it gets sniped anyways, you've lost way more than 5 seconds. It's another, like, 30 seconds till the queen has energy. Maybe a little less than that. No! No! You stop right there. What? No! Well, he's the #1 leading oncologist in StarCraft. It's a tumor. Not anymore. Surgical precision. That was 1 HP, right, on the Reaper? Of course it was. Reapers never die. They're just missing in action. I'm a no. Like, I want to make fun of... The thing is, like, for every time the Widow Mines get an amazing hit, and I want to be like, look, Widow Mines, Clem comes out with something like this, and I can't even be mad. Like, I'm sure Reynor is upset right now, but literally no one this is... At this point, he does it better than Beyond ever did. I'm sorry, Beyond. Beyond was like, how long can I keep building Reapers? Clem's like, I only need 1. How many creep tumors has he got? He's gotten 4. In the Earth, like, nothing else is happening. There's no reason this should be doing damage. And speaking of doing damage, for the first time, we see a Liberator, and then we immediately see why we don't see Liberators. Yeah, the Liberator a little... did he get another one? No. Okay, he's just continually sharking around. Yeah, so that's why we don't, like... 1 Spore Crawler and a couple Queens, which are not hard to come by. The Liberator just... And map designers have kind of taken this into account, especially as time has gone on. Like, there just aren't very... Stop it. There just aren't very many spots where that Liberator can get that disgusting... Oh, come on! I'm okay, whatever. I'm just... The Reaper lived. He lost 3 Hellions. Double medevac drop on the way. So this was a 3-2-1-1 follow. Wait, was it a 3-2-1-1? I don't think so. No, this is just a straight up 3 barracks follow up after the 1-1-1. Baneling speed? Not going to be a factor this game. Roach speed is on the way. Reynor taking the darker path. Not going to rely on Lings and Banes, but for the brute force of a nice thick Roach ball. The Marines gunning down Zerglings from behind the bushes of the watchtower. The knitting crew concerned, confused, and very, well, at the very least, annoyed after all that's happened so far. It's going to get a little worse now. The target fire, they're trying to target down high-energy queens, but there are so many of them. Clem's going to be finishing up 1-1. Are those Hellbats at the watchtower? Indeed, to protect the protector of the tower. That Reaper has retired to be a guardian of the watchtower, which feels like a pretty solid cinematic ending for it. I'm sure it'll come up in the next series. Brenda! Forward to the tower! If Reapers can do it, so can... Is he gonna do a queen push against Terran? Why not? Zergling counterattack. Clem able to shut the door in his face, but not the first one. Meanwhile, a huge amount of roaches. And Roach Ravager against someone who's been making Widow Mines. Widow Mines not nearly as effective against roaches. The Ravagers can gun them down from outside their range, and the splash damage isn't nearly as deadly. Factory, not gonna make it. Burns in the sky. Third base. Right now, Reynor just trying to pound the point home. Zoning out with Corrosive Bile. A whole lot of Roach Ravager up there. Reynor not letting the let this one drag out. The Orbital taking a lot of damage. Some repair coming through. Bunker doing a good job to help defend. 9 SCVs down thus far. Corrosive Bile's on the back line. Finds a lot of the SCVs. Widowmine is still a bit of a threat, but Reynor is chipping his way through him. Target fires down another one. The Concave of Marines on the high ground. Clem standing his ground. The Queen's here. Medevacs for both sides, one way or another. The transfuse is bringing the roaches back together. It's just Marines. More roaches rallied across the map. The economy for Clem is good if he could just stabilize. The Widowmine's not finding the connections. Shooting his own roaches as long as Widowmines go down with it. Is that a 4th command center, you greedy devil? Or was that his 3rd he landed over here? No, wait, no, there are 4 command centers. But Reynor is knocking on the door, and Clem doesn't seem to have an answer. Not this time. Reynor's had enough of this Widowmine business. He's gonna break down the 3rd. We're gonna a tactical pause, but we stop for no one here. The Marines have retreated, but they can't retreat any further. Tank on the high ground. Boys pulled. Medevac's out of energy, but Queens, well, they'll be able to take him out eventually. The hammer drops. And Reynor bashes his way through to match point. Not this time. Reynor's had enough of that. Well, that's one way to deal with the mines. Never let them get them. No, Jimmy. An effective strategy. It's time, before we get to match point, a quick advertisement. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you've enjoyed. I'll be right back in a moment. Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm Winter, and I'm here to talk to you about smashing that like button. Alright, do you ever feel like on YouTube, you don't know what you're doing with your life, so you turn on YouTube, so at least there's someone else who pretends like they do? Because I totally don't, but if that's totally not you as well, smash that like button, and you can check out more videos like this one, where you can comment on the gameplay of players who have literally 10 times your APM and probably at least double your IQ. But sure, your balance complaints from 2012 are still totally valid, so let's hear them. And let's hear more about our other overlords. No, not Zerg, but Amazon Prime. With Prime Gaming, you can subscribe on Twitch. Yes, Twitch TV every single month for free to a streamer of your choice, or even me. Now, you might be like, there must be some cost, some hidden fee. No, not even, no matter how many times Nerd Scream read. At the end of the day, if you're not subscribing with Prime Gaming, you're losing money for me. So subscribe. Because remember, at Amazon Prime, we know where you live. You told us. And every single day on YouTube, you can find videos. That's not a shock, but new videos usually. And occasionally they follow some sort of schedule. So this is maybe not exactly perfect, but you can find videos just like this one, or totally different. There's a whole lot. but some of them are on different channels, so don't go there. Anyways, don't autoplay. Just click on my... Thank you guys for sticking around. ESL Open Cup Finals. Match point. Reynor smashes his way into a 2-1 lead. I don't know, it does feel like Reynor has to work around the edges of Clem. Clem, when left to his own devices, is terrifying. The Whittle Mines, the multi-prong drops, the micro. Zerg usually isn't the more micro-oriented race. It's reliant on an overwhelming amount of units in the right place at the right time. And so far, both of Reynor's wins have been that overwhelming amount of units. Will Clem be able to drag it into the mid-game? Or will Reynor find some opportunities before the medevacs are even able to do anything? We'll find out on episode 4 of Reynor vs. Clem for the 17th time this year. What Clem is, well, what both these players are really good at is finding things that are happening where nobody's looking. Like, a lot of the time, I'm here casting, observing, and I'm missing a lot of the stuff that's happening. Because while there's no such thing as multitasking, the ability to rotate between series of tasks and have a efficient, what am I trying to say? Like, being able to affect their outcome as quickly as possible. Like, a Whittle Mine drop is a relatively low amount of time investment for potentially great reward. Like, the amount of attention you get from your opponent, if you do that mine drop at the right time, can allow you to either clear a bunch of creep, or vice versa, not paying attention to the mine drop, then boom, a bunch of drones go down. Same thing on the other side, though. Like, maybe Reynor knows that Clem is pushing in with Marines. He's got Queens to defend, and Queens are going to hold the line. They got a lot to work with. They got a lot of HP in the trunk, if you know what I mean. So if Clem's engaging the Queens, he's probably microing. Coming with some Zerglings. There go a couple dozen SCVs if the Banelings are mixed in. Clem, a bold move for the 4th game in a row. 3 command centers. Apparently that's just what we're doing. I keep feeling like we're going to shift back to the 2cc. But with Clem and Maru leading the charge, 3cc continues to be the order of the day. And it does look like a full barracks follow-up behind this. So going to be working towards medevacs and stim quite quickly. With a hopefully deadly, hopefully for Clem, not for Reynor, obviously, and for people who want to see more games, medevac push before Reynor's able to get his economy together. Yeah, very quick stim behind it. Second gas at the natural. I wonder, I mean, it doesn't have to be just one thing, but does he build the gas at the natural to hide it from the OV? I mean, that's probably one effect. And 2 is just having more SCVs at the natural, but I mean, hiding it from the OV doesn't matter much when the OV comes in and sees that there are 2 barracks, stim is on the way, and the starport's halfway done. That's kind of a giveaway. But if you happen to be slipping the OV a lot around the back and didn't actually want to sacrifice it, maybe. Yeah, so Reynor knows exactly what this is. He starts a lair and a Baneling nest immediately. But it's not going to be done. Like, Baneling speed is not even going to be close to the time the double medevac drop comes out. There's going to need to be Queens. And a lot of Zerglings. Reynor's already... He's going over 50 drones. That's... I mean, you don't want to be caught with too few against a 3cc Terran. But at the same time, it feels like he's going to need a lot more lings than he's building right now. Oh my god, Clem. And usually, respreading creep tumors, adding on, using a little bit of energy for it, not a huge deal. It's gonna be a huge deal. I thought Reynor would really understand the situation, but he's not building any Zerglings. Like, this... No, you need to build Zerglings. He's not building any I guess maybe he can hold, but like 2 medevacs of Stim Marines. There's not that many queens either. That was something I was looking at. Like, he doesn't have that. He hasn't been consistently building queens out of his hatches that weren't building lairs, so there's a lot of Zerglings on the way, and an overwhelming number is good. But if they're just Zerglings without Banelings, and especially without Baneling speed, then Clem will micro back. He's got the high ground to work with as well. The queens, bound terrestrially. Didn't we used to fly? No. Shh. Not since the accident. Looks like Reynor's been able to pump out. Of course, Reynor does know better than me. Looks like he has enough Zerglings to hold the line for now. Baneling speed is closing in. The queen's trying to target medevacs. Transfuse doing a good job. And this is a delaying action for Clem. Like, he's not looking to win the game with these 2 medevacs. It's an aggressive defense. If all of Reynor's units are stuck defending the medevacs, they can't be killing his SCVs at other bases. And the other bases are pretty close here, which does in fact help Clem. As a Terran player, you want to be usually as close to your opponent as possible, because you're not building tons of Zerglings and trying to split them with drones. You're not warping in units. You actually have to build them the good old-fashioned way, out of barracks and other production facilities. So Reynor's at only 60 drones. He's adding on a couple more. He's got the gold base, which is a nice jump in income, more than you'd usually see with this drone count. A huge Lingbane counterattack is the least surprising thing we're going to see in this series. The medevac's out of energy and almost out of life as Clem continues pushing this angle. Reynor not being too greedy behind it. He's really making sure he has the unit count. So he did start making lings in time. I thought it looked dicey, but he was able to find the larva. More lings, more banes, more upgrades for both sides. The +2 starting out, +2 carapace for Reynor, +2 attack for Clem for those marines. No widow mines. It's gonna be tanks this time around. He was traumatized by the roaches, or so it seems. Oh, that marine! Did that marine see it? It's unclear. That's a huge counterattack. It's not like 12 lings. That's like 60 lings and 40 banelings over there. Okay, it's not 40, it's like 20 banelings, but it's a lot of banelings. Yeah, that's not going to be enough right there. Trying to hold the line. The baneling's going to take a little longer. Clem getting jumped in the middle of the map, though microing back. You can't micro back everywhere at once. He's going to win the fight on the front, but the natural is now vulnerable. He's going to quarantine it, but his engineering bays are here. The third base itself isn't very well protected. Reynor going to take advantage of that. Clem pushing through. Essentially a base trade at this stage. There's no banelings for Reynor. He committed so much to the counterattack, he has almost nothing at home. Just the reinforcements. He needs banelings at home. There's still 4 medevacs. Clem can pick up and get out. He's starting to trade the damage now. Zergling still looking for opportunities on Clem's side of the map. Banelings trickling in. He's going to have to pick up only 5 drones. Not quite enough, I think. Marines dropping out. The supplies dangerously even. Oh, gonna trade a little. Trying to get Reynor to turn around, but Reynor's had enough of it. Widowmine joining the fray, but maybe a little late. No, wait, the Zergling's trickling in, not the flood. Just a handful of queens, not enough for these 1-1 Marines. In fact, the queen's so thick, they're blocking the right. Get out of the way! Get out of the way! Oh my god! The banelings not able to close the distance. Marines, on the other hand, doing a good job with those medevacs to assist. The queen's getting up in the way of the banelings. Now the Marine Count Clem holding the line and driving it back across. Reynor counterattacking. Marines up to the high ground. Banelings not finding the connections. Third base somewhat undefended. The Widowmine finds a hit as well. No detection. Another queen down. A single tank making things difficult. The wraparound from the back. Clem forced to retreat. Whole lot of banelings involved. He's actually going to split and stem, take the fight, and he's going to win it. The queen's off a creep. No! The Marines just splitting off a couple to start to soak the baneling damage while gunning down the queens from the back. Some textbook micro. A clinical execution right now. Clem just needs to keep it up for a little bit longer. Reynor's running out of steam, running out of economy, and running out of creep. The Zerglings are running through the gunfire. The medevac's nearly out of energy. He's sacrificing the Marines on the altar of victory, so the reinforcements might have an opportunity to break through. 8 or so, maybe more medevacs out of energy from all these stims. The baneling nest goes down. And that might be the beginning of the end. Clem rolled with the punches and holds. He was willing once again to sacrifice much of his economy to maintain momentum, drawing 3 Gs out of the Italian stallion. And now here we are. Match point. Reynor committed so much. Many Terrans would jam the select all army hotkey and retreat. Clem wrapped a tourniquet around his natural and his third. Stopped the bleeding. And with one good arm, came across the map. It is... Well, that is part of why Clem is so good, is the killer instinct. That has gotten him in trouble in the past, even in this series. When he's so focused on getting damage done, he doesn't mitigate enough of it. At the end of the day, though, we'll see. On Romanticide, which does seem to be the concluding map of so many series, it's an inoffensive map. I mean that literally. It's one of the most defensive maps in the map pool. I don't think either Terran nor Zerg are particularly... There's no disgusting siege tank locations. The third base is relatively easily defensible. There are options for bases as well, like both for Terran and Zerg. They can expand outwards. It's a macro map. It's just a solid macro map. And when you have this Cloud Kingdom beautiful makeover clone here, like this, well, at least it's in the Cloud Kingdom family, if not immediately related with those platforms and 3 bases. You have a longer game in store, usually. Rarely does a game end quickly if there's not a proxy on this map. In fact, I think we've seen the most, like, half-map scenarios here, just because getting 3 bases is so consistent. No significant variation. Reynor with only 1 in gas. Going up. He's a leisurely stroll towards Zergling speed to get the minerals for his 3rd hatch in a timely manner before the dastardly Reaper makes an appearance. Let's see how offensive it is this time. 1 kill. All right, and everybody stop right there. Go. If only there was a way to hide the chat. I don't like being reminded that there are other people. Just in general. Which might be weird for someone who's asking you to once again like and subscribe, but here we are. Three command centers. Zergling speed. Queen production. I think the most dramatic shift in builds has been the Roach build from Reynor, where he just hammered down the Archie. That was also a slight shift for Clem, opening up at the Liberator instead of Banshees or a quick medevac push. Liberator's just a little outdated. Like, people know how to deal with a Liberator. It's an expensive choice for what it is. It doesn't really have the ability to kill overlords like it once did. A long, long time ago, in the beginning of Legacy of the Void, you might be like, that wasn't that long. 6 years, 1/3 of Reynor's life ago. I'm so old. The Liberator did enough damage to essentially compete with the Viking in anti-air, as well as enough anti-ground to supplant things like flying siege tanks. So for several months, the Liberator was essentially the unit. And you'd occasionally add in other units if they had enough cannons or spore crawlers. Because the biggest weakness of the Liberator is it can't shoot buildings. maybe next patch, but... That, of course, has been adjusted. They now throw party favors at any air units and strongly discourage them from continuing their existence instead of actually damaging them. Once you get some air upgrades, maybe it can kill interceptors, but... He's so good against those creep tumors, which is a weird thing to say, but it's worth pointing out. Like, if it was anyone else and it was any other scenario, it's just one of those caster things. Like, oh, he's so good at those creep tumors. What a thing to say. But it's true. Banshee coming in. It looks like we will have the most passive openers of any match so far. Romanticide is very difficult to execute a consistent counterattack, even more than anything else we've seen. A lot easier to wall off. And then for Clem, on the other hand, a medevac drop doesn't easily threaten until Reynor commits to a fourth. As it does have to commit to either, well, essentially any one of the bases. The Banshee, no! Not this time! You shall not! Well, slide lazily to the left. Oh no! Oh no! Oh, this is unfortunate. Wait a second. Those Banshees get a queen and have a non-zero chance of... Oh. The Banshees already doing probably more than they deserve to. Yeah. Slipping towards the main. There's a Spire on the way, which... It's time for Mutas! But also, the Spire, not a bad choice when you're able to get a stable economy. The big weakness of the Spire is that people don't have 600 APM. And by people, I mean everyone else. The Mutalisk, especially against Widmine heavy compositions, it's literally, it's not a figurative, it's a literal minefield. It becomes so difficult to get damage done without losing units that are essentially flying paperweights. Flying paperweights that do a lot of damage, but it does not take much to bring them down. But that's also the only way to consistently deal with medevacs and exert any sort of pressure on anything but the front of bases. Alright, where's combat? Clem, where is combat shield? His Marines are asking him the same damn thing after the Widowmine slams in. Clem, No combat shield. Trying to get a marine push. The Widowmine combining with a stim pack in order to... Ooh, not the start he was looking for. That was not good. That was very bad. Finally, the Widowmines do some real damage to the Terrans as well. Behind the mineral wall. Only the workers are qualified for this. Oh my god, no, watch out, the Widowmine! It does find a hit, he does clean him up. There is an armory already done. Drilling claws has not yet begun. Oh, here we go. And now it's time. Oh, no. Your sacrifice was somewhat in vain. Not today, Vainlings. And this is why Romanticide is a little easier to hold those counterattacks. Clem does have to rebuild depots that did supply block him. A little awkwardly. The Muta's looking for an opportunity. Reynor also. Oh, the Reaper draws in a clump of Zerglings. Widowmine finds a solid connection. And that's a decent ball of Marines. Where are Clem's... Not Clem's. Reynor's upgrades. He invests in Mutalisks, which are not light on the gas. They're only light on the HP and long-term survivability. And that means this is 1-1 against 0-0. Reynor, his only other base is a little further north here. Which means he has to find Baneling connections. And this is Clem. So we will see. Widowmine. The Marine count is maintained. 88 drones for Reynor. Which means his army supply is tiny. He's down 25 army supply. He's finishing up those 1-1 upgrades, but he has no Banelings right now. There should be enough Mutas to drive this back. This is a kicker we haven't had in many of these games. He drops a few Totally, you totally have enough Marines to kill the Mutas. He did not. Convincing. All right, mind games. Those Marines are halluc. You're not lost, Mr. Clem. Oh, Clem pushing in again, but 1-1 done. Widowmine splashes over the Mutalisks. Banelings desperately trying to complete so they may give their lives productively. The Mutaball is enough to pick off individual Marines. I think he has enough to one-shot the Widowmines, but there's only one Overseer in the mix. The Zerglings passing by, drilling claws. Oh my god, splash damage all over. I really thought more than one Widowmine would go off there, but... Clem not able to break through the Muta count. He has +1 fire attack. Muta count is not insignificant now. He's up to 16 of them. As long as he can minimize the overlapping splash damage, those Mutas do heal pretty quick. The Medivacs are starting to run low on energy. The Marine count just ain't that high. He's only making 7 at a time. How many racks does he have? He's got 5 racks, 2 of which... Yeah, he's adding 3. He's going to Octo Rex. Oh no, watch out! Oh! A dozen drones go down, but Reynor managed to pick off a whole Marine on the other side. So, another one. The Overseer was taken out. Really probably should have more than one. This turret has not been repaired. There is a Widowmine in the back behind it. Reynor's being very careful after losing his Overseer, but that doesn't seem to matter much. 6 more drones down. So at one point, Reynor had a huge... Wow, that is the saddest... What am I watching? Yeah, get 'em, boys. The SCVs just bullied the Baneling after the Widowmine undercut all its friends. One of the saddest deaths I have ever seen for a Baneling, a unit born to die. It appears that Reynor wants to avenge the Banes, which is probably not a great idea. The starport itself is vulnerable. Big attack at the fort. Reynor is heavily committed on the other side of the map. There's almost no Banelings back here. Both of his bases are towards the north side. He has to come down his ramp to deal with this. He's trying to break through the wall, but the SCVs are holding it. The Mutas are doing a weird amount of damage in the main. Reynor actually has a ton of supply here, but most of it is on the wrong side of the map. A lot of Zerglings and Banes. Wow, those Those Marines were sent to die. Oh, the Zerglings break through. He's able to drive back Clem. 12 SCVs go down. Reynor not going to go down without a fight. There's still, significantly less mutas than there once were in the main. He has lost, oh no, another one. He has lost 21 mutas, which is a lot of mutas. There's still more where that came from, though. Lings and Bane streaming through into the third. Clem forced to retreat. Most of the SCV is going to die that were left behind, and by that I mean just 2 of them. Reynor not able to break through. I think we're going to end up in that very Heart of the Swarm-esque struggle here, where Reynor's stuck on layer tech, whereas Clem is getting towards 3-3. Oh no, not another one. Another one. Once Clem has 3-3, his Marines, it's going to become very difficult to take a overwhelmingly good engagement as Reynor. That's what he's been relying on, the sheer amount of units. He can just bully Clem off the map. But now it's Clem's map, because his Marines are going to be able to stand their ground. Where's the creep? Where is the creep? He's done an incredible job of shutting that down. A 5th base on the way. More Banelings rolling in. I'm surprised Clem doesn't have anything else on the other side of the map. Has he... I don't know the last time he saw the... In fact, he hasn't seen the main. Technically, he doesn't know if Reynor's main exists. Though I think he has his assumptions. Who knows? He might have consumed it with Vipers. It's happened before. Reynor been given a little time to stabilize, but I guess that means so has Clem, who now has 3-3, who now has enough TPM, turrets per minute, a very important statistic, to drive back all but the most committed Mutalisks. And he could easily go high-sec auto-tracking and building armor soon. Well, the Mutas are going to fight. They're going to kill the... Oh my. Oof. I mean... Widowmine drop. Reynor runs. Not fast enough. Where's the infestation pit? Where is it? He doesn't have one. Reynor is stuck on layer tech against a Clem who's maxed out on 3-3. Clem's gonna have to make a mistake, which is a lot to ask. Another mine. Oh wait, the mines haven't even been dealt with yet. The mutas are all committed over here. More Banes trickling through. The creep is receding. The third base of another drop. Not fast enough. The Marines closing the distance. You can't, like, the mutas are not gonna cut it. If Reynor does not get an infestation pit, the game is in Clem's hands. That's how it is. This army does not beat a well-controlled, better upgraded MMM army. Maybe a couple extra M's in there for good measure, depending. Yeah, there you go. M number 4 coming down. Like, you might be able to work around the edges, but you're not going to win the war. So the infestation pit halfway done, and then you gotta build a lair, and then you actually have to get the hive. The muta count is high on 26 mutas. He is incredibly reliant on their strength. And it is a fragile strength. Clem trying to outflank mutas via creep. A bold move. We'll see if it plans out. The Banelings rolling through. No medevacs to evacuate. More Lings and Banes. Reynor breaking 600 APM and counting. And he needs it. There's a few Widow Mines not finding the damage they need. Still enough medevacs. Enough Banelings that Clem is forced to retreat. Reynor trying to keep him off the rich gold base, or the rich Vespine base, not that it matters much. Not hurting for gas here. Gonna be able to keep the command center from landing for a moment. The creep spread is enough to jumpstart these attacks. Where's the hive? Reynor! Start the hive. Reynor, you know what you need to do. We both know it. It's very hard as a Zerg, and that's some of the reason why Mutiling Bane is just not a regular style, is because it's so expensive. You find yourself stuck. You feel stuck on Mutiling Bane because you're spending everything on those units, and it's so expensive to lose any of the mutas. Oh, Oh, Clem baited that so well. A masterful baiter. 13 kills. He stood his ground just long enough for the Lings to clump up in their enthusiasm, as they do. Come on, Reynor. You gotta make the hive. It's still a losing battle. Like, Clem just keeps taking bases. He hasn't lost anything significant. I guess this is his first opportunity. There aren't that many Widow Mines involved. A few more in the back line. The planetary. Eliminated, but at the same time, the third base under fire. Clem, for a lot less supply, is looking poised to take out the third. He could target it down here. It looks like there's not quite enough to deal with. He's targeting drones. The Muta flock is ridiculous. There's still no hive in production. Clem is dipping on supply somewhat, but the Mutas can't win the war on their own, right? Another base annexed by Clem here. Are there enough Lings and Banes to put up a fight? He won't kill the base this moment. In fact, the Lings and Banes crushing the Marines. Widowmine's finding a big opportunity. Another one. He's targeting the barracks. Maybe not the ideal choice. The Muta count is dipping. Drilling claws. The Overseers have been gone for far too long. Clem up 20 supply. The war of attrition is a slaughter right now. And Reynor, before ever tapping the hive key, has to tap 2 Gs. And Clem will be taking the ESL Weekly this time around. Unfortunately, stuck in the canyon that is Mutiling Bane, unable to climb out in time. Clem with a classic strategy, as well as Reynor. But Clem, like, throughout the whole series, you let Clem go for too long, he has a stable enough economy, you're gonna have a bad time. And this time, Reynor feeling the brunt of it. Congratulations, Clem. Thank you, ESL. Thank you for watching. Check out these. Amazing. Don't let it autoplay. No autoplay! Alright, hopefully that wakes people up. Like, subscribe, ring the bell. Thank you for watching. Good luck. Have fun. Stay chill.